Hey everyone, welcome to today's episode of Freedoms. We're very lucky to have from France Xavier de Baillenx, and he is the founder of Ramdam. They recently raised a 3 million euro seed round, which is something that we will explore in today's episode. So definitely stay tuned. So, Xavier, how do you feel about that round?
I feel great. It's been quite a few months now, so we are moving on to the next stage, which is growth, growth, and growth. So actually, I moved on, to be honest, but that was completely necessary for us to invest into tech and make sure we keep on delivering value to our clients and making sure we keep on growing.
No, this is absolutely insane. And before we go even further, do you mind telling our viewers who were you before founding your startup?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Xavier, CEO, co-founder of Ramdam. So previously, I used to work. So I'm an engineer, but I used to work in the music industry for quite a while at Universal
Oh,
Music.
nice.
In the digital world. And then I left and I went into the consumer tech world. My last startup has been acquired by the Match Group, global
Nice.
leader in online dating services,
Huge.
parent company for Tinder, Hinge, OkCupid, etc., etc.
Wow.
So we stayed at Match for 4 years and a half, me and my co-founders, and actually we decided to launch a new startup.
Hmm.
That was 2021. And then we actually launched Consumer App Studio because we loved building consumer apps. And actually, in 2023, we pivoted because we actually built the service we always dreamt of. To give you the story, we launched a consumer app studio. We had this app for the US millennials, helping them find their perfect car, and we had to scale. So to be able to scale, you need to run ads on TikTok, on Meta, and for that you need creatives, right?
Yeah.
And so we are stuck at, let's say, $1-2 CPI, which was a cost per install, which was way too high for a profitable business model. And so did myself. I decided to chase TikTok, Instagram creators specialized in cars and ask them short video to do the promotion of my app. And eventually, after 3 months, I got around 30, 40 videos. And
Wow.
one of these videos just skyrocketed our growth. Like the cost per
Really?
install was divided by 8. And actually, for a few months, we became the most downloaded car search app in the US, which
Wow.
was great actually, because we were profitable, so we could keep spending on TikTok and Meta ads with this ad. For various reasons, we had to stop this app, but the idea remained. All right, so we can be successful if you get content from TikTokers, Instagrammers that genuinely love your app. It's just super time consuming. What if instead of getting those 30, 40 creatives in 4 months, I could get it in 3 days? No tools could allow us to do that. What if we build it? And this is how Ramdam was born, early 2023. And since then, we scaled fast. As you mentioned, we actually raised a few months back 3 million euros. Basically, we help any consumer brands, even some B2B services, to get creator ads on TikTok, Meta, from dozens, even hundreds of creators at scale, completely seamlessly, and so that you can use it on your social media campaigns. And it's like a huge success. We have doubled our revenue in 6 months. We plan to double it in the next 6 months. So far, so
Wow.
good.
Hey, that's amazing. And I spotted on your website that you definitely have high ticket items. Usually, startups, they don't necessarily price themselves with such transparent tiers, but we'll get into that a little bit later, which is something fascinating to discover. Before we go even further, do you mind sharing with our audience, when you were very young, like let's say, under 10, how would you describe yourself back in the days?
That's a good question. Um, I think I've always been maybe not 10. I don't have that much memories of me 10 years old, but I remember always being driven by entrepreneurship. So, for example, so I told you I was in the music industry. We had this band when we were like 13, 14 years old. And I remember trying to manage a world tour in the whole southwest of France, trying to call bars and just pushing them. At this time it was not MP3, it was CDs or cassettes. So try to push them and organize a tour. And then I always sort of myself like being an entrepreneur. So I didn't start right. I did big studies because at that time it was not like the big things to be an entrepreneur. Like being an entrepreneur was like way too risky at that time. But I always felt that I had that deep inside of me.
But what's the origin of, was it your parents? Did you read books? What influenced you to go towards entrepreneurship?
That's a good question. I think it might be from my parents, especially from my mother, actually. Like she always been an entrepreneur. She always founded companies. And so I guess she like gave me the spirits, gave me the strengths. And I actually haven't analyzed that. Maybe I should talk to a shrink about it, but I'm sure she must be part of this.
Yeah, for sure. And at what point did you start your first, absolutely first business? Can you share with our audience what was your first failed attempt or even your first success when you were really young?
Yeah. So like first proper business was like quite late actually. So actually I told you I have a band, etc. But proper business where I tried actually to make money out of it. I think I was around 2021. So I actually went. So I told you I'm after being after my engineering school, I went to South Africa. And actually, I was working in the music industry in South Africa, and I like sort of found this hip hop band in Soweto. It's called Kwaito, the hip hop in Soweto, and I found like this super catchy melody. And I've tried actually to go to them, to go to the producer, and I told them, okay, can I just license your song for friends? And just trying to ask some friends to remix it. And so they said, okay. And then when I was back to France, I made a remix out of it, and it was quite a success. I actually sold 100,000 copy of it.
Wow, seriously?
Aura, living in the ghetto, you cannot find it on Spotify, unfortunately.
Okay.
But yeah, so I created my first label right there. So it was just a one hit. I didn't manage to get more, but that was my first attempt to be an entrepreneur.
And,
Created my own music label.
and what did that teach you back in the days that you still bring with you today in your entrepreneurial journey?
I mean, being an entrepreneur is very simple. It's only a matter of being brave, being courageous, and never give up. So, I mean, I it it taught me that the only way to be successful is just never give up. Never give up. That's the only way to be successful because basically you have a lot of ups and downs, mostly downs, to be honest. Very few ups, and if you never give up, you end up, I mean, getting somewhere. But I mean, this label wasn't that a success, but I got somewhere, and then I founded new startups, etc., and I ended up at my old age getting some first success. But yeah, being brave, I think.
That's amazing, Xavier. And can you share with the audience, like how many startups or other business ventures you tried starting? And maybe can you tell us a little bit, like a sneak peek at what happened with a few of them?
Yeah. So as I told you, my first attempt was this music label. And then I was like a freelance. I was managers of band, etc., etc. And though I decided actually to go to Universal Music, like the big major. So at the age of 25, I completely stopped entrepreneurship. It was intrapreneurship because when I was at Universal, my job was to build new businesses. And so it was not entrepreneur, but I had to do business development within Universal. But it's not the same, right? Um, Remember, I was like in the 2010, at that time, you didn't have much entrepreneurs. Well, startup, no one really knew that word. It was like very unusual to build startup back then. So I sort of went where I was supposed to go, which is a big company. And so I went there for like maybe a few years, maybe 6, 7 years at Universal. Then I went into a big startup, but it wasn't mine. I was a CPO. So I learned a lot being like, it was like at that time, they was like maybe 10, $20 million. So it was huge at that time. And actually, I learned a lot about how to structure a big startup. It was like maybe 100 of creators, of employees. And then after this experience, I launched with my two co-founders. My first company was called Preliphant Therapy, and then we've been acquired after a few years by Match. Then we left Match, and eventually I launched this new company, Ramdam, and here we are.
And can you tell us a little bit, how did Match approach you? How did that even happen that you met them to make a sale? Did you make the offer or?
So at that time, and even now, when you work in the dating industry, it's super exciting, but you have one problem: is the number of. I mean, if you want to do an exit, you basically have only one potential buyer, which is Match, which is like the big actor that buy every big businesses. So it was quite a difficult period at that time. We weren't so good. And so I decided to find out the email address of the big boss at Match. I find with first name, last name at match.com. I send like a cold email to them. And eventually he forwarded it to someone from their team. And then they got back to me, and eventually discussions for 1 year. They were interested, then not so much. And then I got back to them. And long story short, maybe 1 year and a half after this first email, we've been acquired by them.
That's incredible. And, I think the founders that would be watching this would be very curious to understand, like, what does the process of an acquisition look like? For example, in a stage where you were at.
So we were small. And so basically, the way we did it is like just approaching them directly and discussing with them directly. If you're getting bigger, I think it's better to go through a bank or a boutique, someone that will accompany, that will really help you out for the negotiation, etc. But at our stage, I just reach out to them directly, and I just handle the. So basically, the way it works is you need to be the right startup at the right time for them, and whenever it's right timing for them, everything can go super fast. So basically, we negotiated the terms of the LOI for a few months, and then once the LOI was signed, you have what we call the due diligence. So they will audit or everything you do. So that might be maybe a few months or a couple of months, and then you sign the SPA, share purchase agreement, and then that's it.
Oh, wow. And that process, it took like approximately how many months from zero to the money ending up in your bank account?
So it was pretty fast on your side. So basically, I told you, like, I sent the email, the cold email to the big boss, like maybe it was in October 2014.
Okay.
And then nothing happened really until July 2015, where I sent a new email to the guy, and then he was interested. And then so the email was sent in July 2015, and basically the SPA was signed in January 2016.
Oh,
So 6 months later.
interesting. Yeah, definitely. And how did the ecosystem around you reacted to that purchase? Like, for example, the employees or the family or your friends. How did
I
they
mean,
see this journey?
might expect, the investors were very happy.
Yeah,
My family also, everyone was very happy. I mean, it's quite an achievement, to be honest, an exit, because you work hard.
yeah.
And then, I mean, fundraising is not really an achievement, it's only a milestone. Really, exit is really an achievement. So it was really a happy moment for everyone involved: founder, employees, family, investors, even them, because at the end of the day, it was super successful. The integration within the company for the next 4 months we stayed at Match was great. I think provide a lot of value to them. So yeah, so it was a really happy moment.
And I think founders are also curious when you get integrated after a buyout. Like, what do they expect from you? What do they want from you on a daily basis?
So basically, that's a bit unusual for us, because after we've been acquired, we pivoted
Oh,
because they wanted us to test a new thing, which was at that time called chatbot. Now everyone knows about it with ChatGPT, but it was quite new at that period. And then building this early stage of chatbots, we found out that we could actually be quite successful with coaching the users on the different app, helping them engaging, creating their accounts. So what we call conversational ergonomy was quite interesting. So it was just a POC, a proof of concept we did just after being acquired, and it ended up being the main project we worked on at
wow.
Match. That's quite unusual, but it worked pretty well. I would say that the fact that when we were acquired, we all had our experiences in big companies. So when you go to big companies, you need to be aware of what it is to be in a big company. Politics is involved. You need to make sure that everyone is on your side.
Yeah.
So if you want everyone to be on your side, you need to spend time with them, to explain that you can bring value to them, to make sure that they can be part of your success. That's a little bit of politics, but once you are aware of it, usually it works pretty well. Sometimes I know it's not that successful because you have a startup that's been acquired, and then the culture would be very different from the company that acquires a startup, and then it can lead to failure sometimes because of this cultural shift. As we were mature enough and we all had our experiences, it actually went quite well.
Oh, that's amazing. Wow. What an inspiring story. It's very rare that founders get to sell. Usually they basically either die off within the first or even past the first raise, right? Like a lot of startups don't survive the pre-seed round. So you not only did you survive that round, but you actually sold and you exited. Were you happy, with the actual exit uh, that ended up in your bank account or
Very happy. So it was we were not a unicorn, so we had to keep on working, and we had to found a new startup. But basically, we are super happy with what happens. We had no money in our pockets, and then suddenly we could buy apartments, and yeah, definitely was a game changer for all of us.
Yeah, I love that you said we had to found a new startup. It's as if it's your instinct. There's no way out. Even if you just exited, it's not enough. You're still driven and you have more ideas. So, how long did it take you to, from that exit to going towards the founding of the next startup?
So 4 years.
4 years. Wow. Was it because you really wanted to focus on an idea that is currently like a huge pain in the market, or why did it took 4 years approximately?
So because I cannot disclose the details, but when you're acquired, you have what it's called an earn-out deal.
Ah,
So you
right,
need
right.
to stay a bit and make sure you achieve your objectives. So we had that kind of deal with them,
Ah,
but
okay.
also because we were super happy working at Match. So yeah,
No, this makes sense. This makes sense. And some founders would be like, okay, if I exited, I'm good. I'm retiring. I don't need anything anymore. But you kept on going. And at what point did you observe that there's this huge problem that you described in the beginning, where you spotted, the issues with the creatives and all that? At what point did you feel like, okay, this is too much? I'm gonna take this on my plate. I'm gonna sacrifice my life towards that new mission.
basically, as I told you, the last startup we launched. To be honest, we launched a few consumer apps. We weren't too sure about. I mean, is it really a painkiller for everyone? We were just launching it, seeing if it works. If it doesn't, trying something else, etc. At the end of the day, uh, it didn't work out that well. I mean, as it wasn't a game changer, I mean, we didn't, it didn't took off. I mean, we had like this plateau effect where we could scale at one point, but it was difficult to go above this plateau, and we were kind of fed up with it, and so we decided, okay, so now let's build something where we know that we would be the first customer of. Something that actually we would pay money for it, and it doesn't exist in the market. This is like what was our main focus at that time. And this is really how Ramdam was born, because getting those creatives was like at this time you had to go to a marketplace where you need to contact influencers, discuss with them, negotiate, it takes forever, set deadline, and then you cannot scale. And it's super painful. And so the idea was, all right, basically you never know which one is going to be successful. So basically, your added value as the app developers or as the marketers to select the right creators or validate the content or do the brief is not that much, because at the end of the day, you never know which one is going to be successful. So basically, the recipe for success is only to get volume, making sure, of course, that the content is aligned with your brief, with your product. But now with the AI, with the machine, with the automation, everything can be streamlined super easily. Of course, you need to build it. It's easier to say than to do. But once you have this idea that if you have like creatives is going to be a commodity, basically you're only going to push a button and get all the creatives you need, and you don't have to worry about anything. When you know that's the right path, you just have to build it. And then once you have the vision, it's just like the day to day, making sure the first brick is okay, bring some value, bring some revenue, bring some traction, and then the next brick, and then the next brick, and then the next brick, but always have in mind your vision. So yeah, I think it's without the vision and without the traction, you cannot go anywhere. We had both. So far so good.
Yeah, that's really awesome. Wow. And while building the MVP, was your mindset focused on going with like a bootstrap model, or did you already know that you were going to raise in the future?
No, it was completely bootstrapped. So to be honest, when we start building it, it was Google Sheets with Zapier automation, email sent automatically. I built it I mean, it was ugly, but it worked, you know? So some clients were happy with it. So basically, we stayed on no code. Now it's called vibe code, but no code, vibe code. So we stick for no code for like maybe 6 months, bringing some value. But at one point, it's not enough when you need to scale. We had to build a proper mobile app for creators, a proper dashboard for clients, some proper design state machine for each step of the process. So yeah, at one point we had to build and spend time on the tech and make sure we had something scalable. But originally, we really started with a really basic MVP, Google Sheets, and email automation through Zapier.
That's incredible. And do you remember the most brutal lessons that you've brought with yourself from your previous startup over to Ramdam?
Uh, so so like the lessons I had from Random or from the previous
From
past.
the previous one
Um,
that you actually integrated into Ramdam.
the thing is, what we learned is I mean, your ideas, your intuition doesn't really mean anything. I mean, you can have a vision, which is good, but your features ideas, what you could have in mind and thinking, okay, this is going to be great. I'm sure a lot of clients going to love that. It doesn't mean anything, and you're most of the time 100% wrong. The good way to do it is really make something super basic, get client feedback, and build as fast as possible something that could actually tackle the client issue and try to prioritize with the most important issues, and then building that commit by commit, bricks by bricks. And that's the only way actually to grow and to make things that actually make sense, bring value. But building a feature out of your head is like doesn't really mean anything for us. I mean, we don't do that anymore. It doesn't work. We used to do that before because we thought we were the most intelligent person in the planet, that our ideas were the best. It's not the case. We're not Steve Jobs. We are simple humans, and the only way to progress is just to learn from the client's feedback and try to build. But the only way to progress when you're not where you're a simple basic human.
Absolutely, absolutely. And do you recommend very specific platforms to gather that client feedback? And how do you deal with feedback that doesn't make any sense to your team? I'm guessing you're not implementing absolutely everything the clients want, right?
Yeah, so basically now I'm sure you're aware that AI has pretty much changed everything. So now we are doing so now AI is not only at the core of our product for our clients, but it's also at the core of all our workflow for all the whole team. I mean, the whole team, they all have N8N accounts. They all build automations. They all been trained to do that. They're all incentivized to do like automations that bring value to the company. So basically, the way we do it is, for example, we have like this Slack channel with client feedback. Whenever we have a call, we just copy paste the transcripts on an automation that would put that on a Slack channel, and then that will do a digest. So basically, we are trying to build the AI workflow pretty much all around. so that we can get all the information and all the prioritized information, because the AI can check the feedback from each client, but the AI would know also the value of each client, how much they're spending per month. So only the AI would be actually relevant to prioritize the different feedback based on each client and their weights.
But this way of doing it's really novel, right? Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, we see it a lot on LinkedIn. People posting nonstop about all of these AI frameworks to accelerate that stuff. And like for you, how long did it take to actually implement in your workflows to start getting these AI frameworks?
Okay, so we started with Zapier, and then we switched into N8N. So it's like an ongoing process. I think it's super important to involve your teams into it, to make sure that everyone is involved, to make it sort of a competition. We sometimes we do full days where, okay, you don't focus on your day-to-day job. We just focus on building automation to improve your productivity. So I'd say it's a so I'd say we are building this automation since early 2025 only, because it's pretty recent. And before that, it were more basic Zapier automation.
Wow, that's crazy. And did you somehow identify a moat with all of these client feedbacks that rendered you almost invincible at this point?
I'm not sure to understand your question, Mark. Can you specify?
Sure, no problem. Sorry, sometimes what I mean isn't necessarily very direct. So, did you identify defensibility, for example, with all of these feedbacks that are very unique and they build up, a platform that ends up being super unique? So, from these feedbacks, like what did you gather to build defensibility?
The thing is, I don't think defensibility would necessarily come from features, because AI is going so fast now that actually any features that will take time to develop, basically maybe in a few months, AI can do that in like completely natively, super easily. I think being able to build this defensibility when you're a startup is making sure you have liquidity. What I mean by liquidity on our side, for example, we have on one side creators, a database of authentic creators, 50K active creators all around, mostly in the US, but all around the globe, right? And we have also hundreds of clients. And based on that, we can gather a unique data. We can get, and the more we have creators, the more data we get. The more we know how to train some algorithm. For example, we have this algorithm that would, whenever a creator send a video, the AI will analyze frame by frame the video and make sure that it's aligned with the brief. If not, the AI will send an instant feedback to the creator saying them, okay, you didn't put subtitles here, blah, 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 blah. And this can be done only because you have a lot of real creators actually sending video. And then you can train your own data sets based on real creators, and then what you build is unique. What I'm saying is, to build defensibility today in the AI world, I think you need to think of unique data sets, and for example, a bunch of creators, because authentic creators, for now, AI cannot replace them. We can talk about it maybe later on. This is how you build defensibility. I don't think this defensibility can be built by a set of features.
Hmm. Oh, I love that. And throughout that journey, as you were building up, as you were still bootstrapped, did you start having signals all around you where something happened, maybe a metric popped up where you're like trying to sleep at night and you're like, no, I need to raise. This is the next phase for my startup.
Yeah. So in the bootstrap phase, we were still convinced that the way to go was complete automation. So we had two paths. One path would be like to build an influencer platform where actually the clients can actually pick up their creators and then send them messages, and then they discuss together, and then they give a video, they're happy, etc., etc. And we make it super seamless, super good, etc. And we know we could have some clients. But the thing is, you have a lot of service doing that. Our vision is really, you, as a client, you press on a button, you put your URL, and then you get the creatives. You don't have to
Yeah.
worry about it. But to be able to do that, it's a lot of engineers. it's a lot of AI. And if you want to build this, you need money because AI engineer cost a lot, because you need to focus on AI training, you need to focus on building some solid stack. And for that, it's absolutely not possible being completely bootstrapped. We had to raise money because we had to invest and hire the best. So as I told you, the more we progress, the more we were convinced about this vision, the creative intelligence. You push on a button, you get the creative. And then at one point, we knew we had to raise if we want to get to the next step.
I love that. Absolutely love this mindset. And, founders that are currently going through this type of step, right? Like where they're building, they're seeing some form of value and traction going on. Would you have some advice as to how much you should think about raising? Like, what's your way of, for example, knowing how much you need to raise? Because it can be very confusing, between 10 million, a million, or even three. How do you decide on that?
I mean, you have a lot of businesses, I mean, startups out that don't even want to raise and are completely kickstarted and can generate millions without raising any money, which is absolutely great. I wish I could do that. But basically, it will really depend on your business. The question is, all right, I do have this vision. How much developers do I need? How much workforce do I need to make sure maybe to go to the next step of this vision? I have this first MVP. So you cannot raise without this first MVP. I've shown some early sign of traction. Okay, what's the next step for my product to maybe multiply by 5 or 10 my revenue, my MRR or my IRR? What do I need to get there? What kind of development? How many developers do I need to do that, right? So you need to put your Google Sheets, your Excel or Google Sheet, and put numbers, how many developers, the annual salary, etc., etc. So you end up being a number, and then you multiply this number not by 2 but by 1.5 because you never know. And then you have like this minimum amount that you need to raise. It's useless to raise too much because if you raise too much, then you're going to be too diluted, and then it's going to be maybe much more difficult to raise another one. So just raise a little bit more than what you need, and for that, just put you and your co-founder go into a Google Sheet and ask them, okay, what's the next step for my product? How many people do I need? How much would they cost? Do the total, multiply by 1.5, and then you have the amount of money you need to raise. As simple as that.
No, I love that, Xavier. It's a really basic tutorial for the founders watching that don't even know how this works. And can you just unpack one little thing? You said if you raise too much, you would over dilute yourself. So, what's the impact that you would see that you recommend to avoid from that? Because I'm asking this because a lot of founders would like, nah, I'm gonna go ahead and raise 20 mil as a seed round. I don't care, So, what's your advice there?
Yeah. So basically, first you need to know what sort of valuation you can expect. All right. So obviously, like this AI startups that from in 6 months went to 0 to 5 million ARR has not the same value than the one that in 2 years just reach out this 1 million ARR. Obviously. So first, you need to have a clear idea of the valuation you might actually. I mean your valuation in the market. Once you've done that, um, I guess, I mean, the more money you ask, the more dilution you'll get, right? And then the more dilution you'll get, it means that for the next round, it's going to be much more difficult because you're going to be diluted more. So I'd say that based on your valuation, you should raise, I mean, it's always good to raise 10, 20 million, but you should not raise much more than what you need actually to go to the next step. Really depends what the next step is for you, what you see at the next step. But really focus on the next step, see how much it would cost, be clear on the valuation, and it's good. If you need only maybe 2 millions and you have like a 20 million valuation, then the dilution will be much lower. And then you can raise another one later on, maybe at a higher valuation. So yeah, that would be my advice.
Yeah, thanks for dropping that gold. I really appreciate that. And what was like the biggest risk that you took earlier in the initial steps that you feel like it paid off?
I mean, you takes risk pretty much almost every day when you are entrepreneur. So um So I'd say like the pivot we did was a risk because it was our first B2B. I mean, it was our first B2B SaaS company. We never done any SaaS B2B company. It was our complete first one. We always worked on the consumer side. So we knew about how to build an app. We knew how to grow a consumer service. We knew all about it, but we never did any SaaS business, any B2B business. And then when we actually decided to launch it, we didn't have much cash in our bank account, so it was like it was quite an all-in phase, and if we had a failure, if we couldn't achieve our objectives even in the first 2-3 months, then that was finished for us. So yeah, I would say this was the biggest risk when we had to pivot from a B2C to a B2B business.
Oh, I love that. And thanks for sharing that with our audience. I'm curious, was there like a painkiller sentence that you used when you pitched Ramdam to, try to land clients or even investors?
Basically, we had like um, two product market fit phase. Okay. So when we initially launched the first version of our products, I told you Google Sheet, etc., we scaled pretty fast because, as I told you, we could allow any brands to get creator content at scale without any pain. All right. So we start off scale, but at one point it was not enough, and so we understand something else, which actually was a complete painkiller for brands, which is actually, instead of building this self-service tool where they can do whatever they want on their service, um, what works actually when you have to launch a creator ad campaigns is getting a lot of content from creators, from a lot of creators, but also what you need is a lot of different scripts and briefs. When we started, we told our clients, all right, you should let the creator free to experiment with anything because they might come up with something great that you didn't expect and could skyrocket, blah, blah, blah. That's true. You could find some gems, but most of the time, creators would be a bit lazy when you let them free. And so basically, a huge proportion of the content would be completely useless. All right. And so that was the problem, which at one point made some of our clients, all right, I'm not going to invest too much because, I mean, too many of this content doesn't really work. And so what we understood actually is to be successful, you need a wide range of different scripts. Maybe one script focusing on one aspect of the service, maybe one script doing a trend, a TikTok trend. And the thing is, the client have no clue of what kind of script they can do. And so we decide, okay, we're going to launch what we call the fully managed offer. Fully managed is actually, it's not anymore a self-service tool. We handle everything for you. So basically, we will do the brief for you. We will do everything. So basically, we became sort of an agency using our own tool, and the clients, basically, they don't have to worry about anything. We handle the creative part, we handle the all the workflow, and all they have to do is getting the creative. And that was a real painkiller because with the AI, especially, most of the people they like doing nothing now. They like having everything done and don't have to do anything. And then when we understood that, it was like just after we raised actually our revenue doubled in 6 months, as I told you, and it's going to be double in 6 months. All recurring revenue, because all they have to do is pay each month. They don't have to worry about anything. They get the creator ad, and it works because we know which brief can lead to successful ad. And so everyone is spending more and more and more. And so it's the virtuous circle. And really, the painkiller was you don't have to worry about anything. You don't have to do anything. We handle everything for you.
No, this is really amazing insight. And I think, there's so many agency owners out there that just don't understand this type of concept where the first initial proof of concept, I guess, it's your own clients within your own agency using the
Yeah.
tools that's
Yeah.
correlate paying. That's really incredible. And yeah, I'm just curious also, like, what was the first biggest mistakes that you've made where your users forced you to fix that mistake?
Yeah. So many, way too many mistakes. Yeah. So, I mean, I'd say that's the big mistake we did. I mean, we made was actually telling our clients, all right, don't worry about the brief, let the creator free. and then you get back with some super successful content. That was a huge mistake because actually we were completely convinced. I was convinced of that. I was convinced that actually when you let people free, they can express their creativity. But actually, it's not true. It doesn't work like that. Creators need constraints. Creators need guidelines. And within guides, so you need to leave room for creativity. It shouldn't be like a super precise script with every sentence being super precise. You should leave some room for happy, what we call happy accidents, but you should not let them free. And then it took us like a whole year, maybe a year and a half to understand that. And actually, I think we lost a lot of time by not understanding that.
Wow. And how did you balance like AI control versus the creators' freedoms? What was your mindset there? Did you like brainstorm frameworks for that with your engineers, or how did that happen?
Yeah, so AI is great, but I think you shouldn't push too much AI about among your clients because actually that's a mistake. One of the common mistake is to say to their client, "Okay, we are doing AI. We are an AI company." No one cares. It's even like a bit scary because, all right, you're AI, but so everyone knows that AI is never 100% perfect. Everyone knows that AI does hallucinations. So an AI-based business, I'm not talking about core, I mean, core tech companies, but based on services, based on ads, you shouldn't actually really much talk about AI. AI should be at the core of your system to help you be faster, eliminate friction, scale. But at the end of the day, you should, at any step, have a human to make sure that everything is working okay. On
Uh,
our side, for example, on the brief, so we have this AI looking for top performing ad for similar apps or similar services, so it can provide us with some brief. But at the end of the day, always a human makes the brief and make sure it's okay. We have the AI that will select creator based on the past performance that they will apply, but at the end, the one that actually will provide video, it's always a human that will double check. We are trying actually to make the AI making more and more of this, but for now, we still have a human. For the video, the AI will do the AI video check, making sure it's aligned with the brief. So actually, the clients, 90% of the time, they will have the video aligned with the brief, but they can actually provide feedback because you need a human to make sure that it's okay. So AI should be a tool, but you shouldn't push this AI always to your client because it can be a bit scary. And actually, AI is never 100% perfect. So to be 100% perfect, you need to put human.
yeah, no, this is definitely the right approach. And I'm also curious, like, how did you design the briefs, so that you don't kill creativity, but you still convert,
Yeah, so basically, that's a good question. So the way we do it is we have our tricks. Obviously, we have our secret sauce. Um,
For sure.
the,
No need to
the
reveal the
way,
secret sauces.
yeah, no, it's fine. The way to do it is actually to have very structured brief. So you have a brief with a selling point, the requirements. So it's the requirements are super important. Requirements as must have, and you need to make sure that the must have are real must have. So we know exactly that the must have shouldn't be too vague, for example. And then you have the script. And then the scripts actually should focus, usually a good script only focus on one feature. You shouldn't have a script that would talk about a service and trying to sell all the different features of an app or of a service. It doesn't really work. You should try a script that would focus, for example, on the, I don't know, for example, you have, I'm taking an example of a dating app, like, for example, Tinder. If Tinder, they do have like this double date feature. So only focus on this double date feature. Only focus on maybe dating abroad. Only focus on whatever. So just only focus on some clear features and then multiply that. Do trends, for example, you can, for example, encapsulate the value proposition of an app within one POV on a 5-second video. It can do the trick also.
Yeah.
Carousel slideshow. So basically, all you need to do is making sure you have many different scripts, focusing on some features, also checking all the next viral hits from other advertiser or on TikTok and Meta. And then we have our expertise and we make sure to deliver enough brief for which we make 100% sure that you will get top performing.
No, thank you so much for breaking it down. I think the founders, first of all, that would need your service, I'm pretty sure this transparency really helps them understand like the way that this adds value. because I
Mm.
think what you're doing is really incredible. For example, for e-commerce brands, they really need this type of service. Like literally, it's their blood. They have to generate all of these creatives every week, every day, every month, and they need to refresh and replenish for
Yeah.
increased engagement. Right? Like this is how it works in the world of agencies. And did you have like a surprising weird use case where a brand like used Ramdam for something that you didn't really intend for them to use?
I mean, it's always a case. We are always surprised. For example, we had this ad for an app called Swipe Wipe, which is like a photo for an iOS photo cleaning app. And we had this very basic. So basically, we had this ad where actually the creator it was a she. She was made in the US. She didn't even pronounce the brand name properly,
Okay.
and she didn't have a hook. Everyone's telling it's like the hook, like it's like the hook religion now. Oh, you need a hook, a hook, a hook. She didn't even have a hook, so it was super basic. She didn't even pronounce the name correctly, and it's our most successful ad ever.
Really?
350 million views in the US, sponsored view on TikTok. So it was like completely unexpected, but it worked. I mean, the clients, they even didn't want to pay for it. It costed them $100 and it ended up making this app millions. So yeah, it's, I mean, it's always the unexpected that will work, basically. The intuition, I mean, you shouldn't rely on your intuition when you're on creatives. You never know which one is going to be successful. Even if you have a successful ad, you can try to replicate. It's a good idea, but it's not absolutely not a guarantee that it's going to be successful. So yeah, the unexpected, the weirdness, the happy accident. This is where you're going to be successful. This is why actually you have a lot of what we call AI UGC, which is great actually. You have some great services around. So AI UGC, instead of asking for an authentic creator, you ask for an AI avatar to do a video.
Yeah.
So it's great if you want to test the water. So like you have like maybe a few hundred euros or dollars budget on Meta, on TikTok, then you don't have much budget, you can test the waters. It's great. But as soon as you want to scale, AI UGC never provide top performing ads. Exactly the same as I used to work in the music industry, and Spotify, you maybe have 20 or 30% of the music that is fully AI generated. You have zero hit single that have been ever done through the AI. It's the same for creator, and it's not because of the technical limitations, right? It's not because creators looks a little bit weird, not real. I mean, the technology is amazing. Now, when you see AI GC, you cannot tell the
Yeah.
difference between real creators and AI creators. You cannot tell the
That's right.
difference.
That's right.
So why it doesn't provide top performing? For a simple reason. As I told you, when a creator is doing a video for an advertiser, you shouldn't let them free, right? I told you about that. On the other hand, if you put like a very precise script where you tell them, okay, say that, and that, it also never provided top performing, because the top performing always come from the happy accident. And the happy accident will always come from emotion that the creator had with the product. Like maybe it's a cream, they put the cream in their face, and then they had this funny remark about putting this cream, unexpected, or this app maybe for pregnant women, and then she's talking about it genuinely at one point. You never know which one is going to be successful. But the AI UGC, you just send them a script, a basic script. You can do this script yourself, you can ask ChatGPT, but the AI UGC, they don't have a conscience. They don't know how to put cream and say and know how it feels to put this cream. So it will only follow precise scripts, and this never provide top performing at one point. So this is why actually authentic creators, as authentic artists, for now, even if they can use AI to do the editing, even to train their own avatar, you need at one point to have authentic creators to be successful. And this is what we do, providing authentic creator ads at scale, so you're 100% sure of getting a top performing ad.
1000%. I think as humans, we have this subtle radar to understand if there are emotions within videos, right? Like we can
Yeah, yeah,
detect
yeah,
them.
absolutely. And you cannot say why. It's like when you see this AI video, it's like, wow, meh, it's
Exactly.
wow,
Yeah. Yeah.
meh, no emotion, impressive. No emotion. Exactly the same.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. No, this is really captivating. And what did like creators misunderstood when you tried to release the product to them first? And like, did you have to re-educate them as they proceeded to your platform?
Yeah, so basically the thing is the main issue we had with creators, and not we, everyone, is making sure creators stick to the deadline. At the beginning, they were no real deadline, so basically they could like so they were paid when they only send the video. So we thought it was enough, but it's not enough. And actually, we put like we called state machine, where actually when a creator is selected, they have 24 hours to sign the contract and 3 days to deliver the video. If they miss a deadline by 2 minutes, they they will actually the deal is off. And then they have a rate which called engagement rate, delivery rate, sorry, which will lower, and then the algorithm will not push them, etc., etc. So as soon as creators know that they have a real deadline with a countdown, basically most of them will actually meet the deadline. And actually, at first it was 5 days to deliver the video. It was too long, so we decided to push to 3 days. It didn't change anything because basically I think they all work maybe a few hours before. The same as when you were students. You just do your you do your homework just the day before the exam. It's a bit similar. And then yeah, basically at first it was a bit difficult, but then they like actually to have these deadlines because they know they have to stick to the deadline and that's it, you know?
You know, this is amazing because that's one of the biggest problems out there. Like, literally, I cannot uh, understate how, or even overstate how big it is. Like, a lot of brands, when they order creatives, literally, sometimes the creators, they just never, reply back, never.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's it. It's crazy, but you can sometimes pay 5K to someone, and they'll just
Yeah.
disappear.
Yeah. So yeah, so we don't pay creators 5K. It's very smaller amount for us. It's between 50 and 400K, $400, sorry.
Okay.
But yeah, as soon as you don't put some deadline, some creators, what they actually don't want is having the main problem is not being paid. The main problem for most of them is that they will have their delivery rate lower and they cannot accept that. Oh, my reputation and everything, that's important for them. So this is why you need to put a framework where actually, like Uber, for example, like Uber, you have the notes. So this is why in Uber, people are often very, very friendly because they know that if they're not
Yeah.
professional, their rate will lower and they don't like that. The same for creators. And so this is why you need to have like this rate that will be public to anyone. And that's actually much more important than the amount of money being paid. And this is why actually they stick to the deadline because they don't want to lower their delivery rates much more than missing a paying opportunity.
I love that, Xavier, because so many clients, they get literally abused. I know because I run a marketing agency, right? And I know we have clients that tell us, okay, we paid huge amounts to tons of creatives, uh, never came back. There was
Mm.
never any
I'm not.
feedback.
I'm not surprised.
This is really a huge problem that you're currently solving that goes way beyond what we can imagine right now. Because every brand out there that uses creators, they bump into the same wall eventually. It's just
Yeah,
a
yeah,
numbers
yeah.
game.
It's a numbers game, and you cannot scale them if you don't have a
You can't.
machine and that will actually make sure that you get this video on time with like a virtuous circle. You only push creators likely to succeed, to deliver, etc., etc. We do overbooking, so we know we can order more video because we know exactly the kind of the abort rate we'll have depending on the price. So if you want to do that directly with creators, it's completely impossible to scale. You cannot. It's impossible.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And do you remember like the KPIs that became your North Stars eventually? For example, within the first 6 months, like was it the cost per acquisition, the time to publish, the repeat rate? Like what did you base yourself on?
Okay, so basically, or really, really, what we look at, what's our number one obsession at Ramdam, number one by far, is top performing ad. So what we want is making sure we deliver. So you need to understand that the ad industry, actually, I used to work in the music industry, but the ad industry, the social media ad industry, is very similar to the music industry. It's a hit-driven industry. What's going to happen is you're going to get volume, maybe 100 creatives, 50 creatives, right? And out of these 50 creatives, maybe one or two will actually take all the budget. So basically, out of the 50 creative, maybe 45, 46, 47, no one will care. They will be displayed to maybe 100 people, and maybe two, three, they will take the whole advertising budget and they will be displayed to millions, right? Exactly the same as a hit. So you will spend actually the same amount of money on 50 creatives, but one will actually justify the price you put to all of them, because you only pay $200, but it will pay you back 100 times, right? So it's really similar. So what we do is making sure that we can deliver those. Like a label, they're only obsessed by one thing: hits. How can I get a hit single, right? It's exactly the same for us. We want those hits. We don't have the recipe for success. We have our tricks. We know it's a game of numbers. We know we need to scale, but that's our number one obsession: top performing ad.
Amazing, amazing. And I'm also very curious. I think a lot of founders are asking themselves, like, okay, how many investors did you reach out to actually finally get to a yes?
All right. Shall I be transparent?
Absolutely.
All right. So basically, part of it was a part of my network. So it was business angels, friends, and family, right?
Mhm.
And then we had one fund. And for this fund, it was through network, to be honest. So I called some friend I know network. And then one other fund was through cold email. It was a US fund, actually. It's a great US fund based in the West Coast. And so that's the only one we got from a cold call, from cold mailing, sorry. And I think I build an automation. I use a software called Lemlist, and I got this list of VC, and I don't know how many thousands email I automatically
Oh,
sent, how many hundreds of meeting I did just to end up with this one that I'm really super happy to have with. That actually invest in on the latest seed round. But really, really, it's a game of numbers.
oh
It's a
yeah.
really a number. So be prepared, because fundraising is really a painful period. Unless you're huge, you have huge traction, and everyone want to invest in you. It was not our case. So it was a difficult period also geopolitically, etc. No one wanted. It was very difficult to raise money. But yeah, with numbers, 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 you end up. We ended up closing this round, but it was really painful, I must admit.
This is really amazing. You said hundreds of meetings, right? Do you remember, was it approximately 200 meetings, 500 meetings?
No, 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 no. I'd say a little bit less than hundreds. I'd say between 60 and 80 meetings, something like that.
So I'm doing some math here. I'm dividing 3 million by 80. So it gets you to 37,000, okay, approximately for every no.
Yes, but it's not exactly the same, because it's, as I told you, most of the one we got was from a network. I'm not sure exactly, but it was. I cannot disclose the exact amount they invest in us, but it was much smaller than 3 million. It was a little bit less than 1 million to get this meeting. So yeah, I think your calculation is about right. Yes.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? Like, so what this means is even if it's difficult, right, you still have to go through the no's because every no, it's equal to approximately, for you, in your case, it was
Yeah,
equal to
but
38,000
that's easy to say that after you
after. Yeah,
fundraise.
yeah.
But the problem when you have these no's is you never know how many more no's you're gonna have. Maybe you're gonna have 100, or maybe you're never gonna have a yes.
That's true.
So I mean, it would be completely okay to have even 200 meetings with no's if you know that the 201 would be a yes. The
Exactly.
problem is, will I have this yes?
Yes.
And you finally end up having this yes. So it's a game of numbers
No, it's a
and
bit
percentages.
hilarious because, like in one of the previous episodes that we did, one of the founders, I think it was something like 260 no's.
Okay.
And 260 no's, like you really need to be comfortable with rejection when you're
Yeah.
raising funds. And I think a lot of founders just don't get, right? Like they see all of these founding rounds as if it's something like you just buy fresh bread when it's ready. Like it's not like that. A founding round is such a deep experience that people just don't understand how it can impact us on the long term also because it can send you into a depression if you give in to it.
Yes. Yes, because you're 100% right. You need to be prepared. Fundraising is really can be traumatizing. I mean, being able to fundraise in terms of mindsets and skills is being a salesperson. So a salesperson, their job basically is to get no's, no's, no's until you get a yes. So those guys are pretty well prepared to get no's. Um, I'm I'm not a complete salesperson, but I'm sort of a salesish person. So I was a bit prepared for that to get no's, no's, and no's. But when you're a tech or product guys, you're not used to that. You're completely right. It can be completely traumatizing to get all those no's because the thing is, I did 60 to 80 meetings, so it's like a whole meeting where it takes a lot of energy, like having this meeting, selling your thing. It's like you're exhausted after that, and then you have another one. You give everything to one meeting, and then it's no's, 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 no's. It's not like having a no's when you just send an email. It's like, okay, I gave my time, I gave my energy, it's still a no. So you need to be completely prepared and ready for that mentally. I mean,
And Xavier, was it worth it? All of these no's when you see that 3 million.
absolutely, 100%,
There you go. This is
100.
the most important part in this
Yeah,
crazy game of startups where it's absolutely worth it. You have to go through this torture if you really believe in your idea.
but I mean, being a startup is a torture at every point. You mean not fundraising. Fundraising might be the worst. You're right, but I mean, finding your product market fit,
Mm.
having all the problem to handle, handling your growth, etc., etc. At any point, it's a torture. You're gonna do a lot of mistakes, and each mistakes are going to be much more painful than any mistakes you might have done in a classic company. So yeah, you need to be ready to be persistent and to do sports, to have a good mental health, to be able to cut off completely from the business, to do vacations, if you have a family, to enjoy your family. It's super important because otherwise, I mean, for me, I couldn't stand it.
Yeah. And this is really, really a huge pain for founders. They forget about themselves. Like, what type of sports did you do to get your mind off of this?
So I did a lot of sports. I'm trying to be because I don't have much time, so I'm going to the gyms just nearby. I'm trying to do not every day, but at least 3, 4 times a day. I know it's just in the corner of the office. I go there and then go back to work.
Wow. No, this is really,
And
really.
I'm older. I'm not a young
Yeah.
28 years old. So at my age, you need to you're not as resistant. You're not as you. So you need to be in good physical shape when you are older, obviously.
Yeah. I think you're hitting really on a nerve here because, founders, they completely forget about what you just said, their family time,
Yeah,
even their bodies. Like, they get
yeah.
so into it that either, for example, they start gaining weight like crazy, they get stressed out because there's nothing of a bigger killer than stress, right?
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah,
So,
of course. And then, yeah, I just did a LinkedIn post about that because I do a lot of LinkedIn posts, but you miss clarity. Whenever you're stress mode, you're on full work mode, you miss clarity, you will make mistakes, and these mistakes will cost a lot. And sometimes it's better like to push back and then go back to work with a clear mind, and then actually it will be better for your business.
yeah. And I think also from what I know, the culture in France, because I understand you're currently in France, right?
Yes, that's
Yeah.
correct.
So the French work culture is really intense. It's not like the American work culture where it's way easier on humans, right? Like in France, there's a lot of expectations as to okay, there's no work-life balance when you're building this type of business from a founder's perspective.
I think in the startup world now and the AI space, etc., I have the feeling that you have this kind of uniformization now, where first on our team, half of the team is not French, for example. You have also distributed teams from all around the globe. You have different cultures. And you have this now. Everything is on YouTube. You're like following people from all around the globe. So I think on the startup side, I'm not talking about the corporate side. You're right. On the corporate, it's very different from different companies. But on the startup side, I have the feeling there is sort of a uniformization between the world countries, because we are working with we have people from India, we have two people from the US in our team, we have people from Turkey, from all around the globe. So you have this kind of globalization, which makes it, I think, quite similar between different countries. This is the way I understand it right now. I don't know if you agree with me.
Oh yeah, I think from what I understand, like startups, the more international they are, the more of a standard they're following because they can't like concede to just one culture of work, right? But I'd say that from my experience, there are definitely cultures that tend to be less relaxed and more work oriented. And France is extremely hardworking, like from what I spotted.
Yeah, and that's my problem. I'm not. I need to be more relaxed. I know I need to be more relaxed with my people. I think you might be right. I think you're right.
And how does your family see that? Like, do they, tell you, "Oh, we miss you, like, work less, why are you doing this?" Like, do you get pressure from them or
No,
not
no,
really?
no. Really, as I told you, I think it's important to find a bit of balance. I mean, it's crucial. Actually, it's crucial to spend time. I spend time with my kid. I go pick up my kid every day at school.
That's important. It's the gold. That's why you're doing all of this, right?
Yeah, that's why. And also, as I told you, it's important to stop. It's important
Yeah.
to pause during the day, because you cannot be 100% productive if you work 12 hours a day. I mean, maybe if you're 20 years old, maybe if it's the first 6 months of your project, you're completely onto it. All right, I get it. We've launched this startup now for a few years now. So we went through a lot of ups and downs. At the end of the day, it's a marathon, and you need to keep clarity and you need to stop. So this is actually I need to see my family, not only for my family but also for my company.
Yeah, because you see body health and mental health,
Yeah,
they're one of the biggest drivers of growth for startups.
absolutely,
Yeah. And it's non-negotiable in my opinion.
absolutely, absolutely.
And my guess also is that your investors they get that they're good with that. Like because I'm asking because some founders they get stuck with investors that don't necessarily respect that. Uh, I'm not gonna name any names, but it happens that the pressure is so high that founders even quit or they try to sell their business. Yeah,
Sometimes you don't have the choice, but if you have the choice, pick smart investors. Like an investor that would pressure their founders, they're basically stupid people, because pressuring them they will lose their money basically. So they're
right.
stupid. So it's completely useless to pressure founders. It's completely useless. It's the dumbest ideas ever from any investors. So just just forget about those kind of investors. So try to pick the right investor, and the right investor, they will not get involved into your work-life balance. That's not their role. Their role is to make sure that you have everything you need, that they can do some useful introduction, that they can help you maybe with a long-term strategy. But they're not here to tell you work, work, work. That's not a healthy relationship at all. So make sure you don't have that kind of investor, because they're gonna be toxic.
Oh yeah, well said. Absolutely. Be careful with these individuals. And I'm just curious, when you received the funds, right? Like, do you remember the moment? Where were you? Were you like sitting in the car, looking at your phone when you received
So
that
when I
notification?
received it on the bank account,
Yeah.
right? No, actually, I didn't really care about that, because I knew. I mean, it was not my first fundraise. I
Ah.
already done exit, so it was a done deal. I knew about
Uh
my
huh.
investor. I knew
Okay.
he would pay. So to be honest, it was not like wow, the bank account. No, it was like, okay, done deal, making sure it's paid. But I had no problem. It was more like the signature of the investor deals. This is where it was important, because
Mm.
then that was a done deal. But the payment wasn't that a big deal
And
for that.
how did you like celebrate when you actually received the funds? Did you go out with the buddies, or how do you remember that moment?
I didn't really celebrate. For me,
Okay.
fundraising wasn't just really. It's a milestone. So maybe we did we did have a drink with the. Yeah, I think we had a drink, a few drinks. But really, fundraising is a milestone. It's a nice milestone, but it's only the beginning. I mean, it's the beginning of
Mm,
the hard work. It's the beginning. So it's like they're giving you money, but now you need to you need to make something out of it, because it's at the end of the day, if you raise money, you don't make something, you'll get $0. Your investor will gonna lose your money. It's gonna be a failure, right? So
yeah.
you can end up with having zero even if you have a fundraised. All right. So for me, it's a milestone, but I rather celebrate first time we reach X MRR, Y RR. This is real. This is actually a milestone that worth celebrating much more than fundraising, I think.
I love that. And, you're just dropping gold nonstop in this podcast, and I really appreciate that. Can you maybe share with our viewers what type of systems or processes did you use, like, to scale, from 5 team members to the current headcount?
So you're talking about finding the right people.
Yep.
That's your question, right? So now we are maybe 15 people,
Wow.
1 5. Yeah, I always tell my company, as a CEO, I say basically you have a full ownership of what you do, but I have 3 things that are not negotiable for me. Number one, follow the P&L. All right. We need to follow the P&L and the revenue objectives for each month. That's super important. That needs to be our
For
driver.
those that don't know what's a P&L, maybe you can
So
explain.
profit and loss, like the objectives of revenue. Each month we have a forecast where we need to do X, Y, Z in June, July, August. We need to achieve the objective. That's not negotiable. Number one. Number two, we need to be an AI company. Not to brag about it, not to put AI in our company, but I know that companies that do not put AI at the core of their product, their organization, they're going to be left behind. That's 100% sure. So if we don't put AI at the core of our organization, of our product, we're going to be left behind. So number two, AI must be at the center, at the core of our product. And number three, only work with A player. Okay. So when we had to grow our team, sometimes it was a bit painful because we could spend 6 months finding the right person. If we're not 100% sure that's an A player, we wouldn't hire them. And it's better to actually feel the pain of not having this person for an extra month, for an extra 2 months. It's much better than actually hiring someone that you like, but maybe it's a B plus, or A minus. So it's always better to be 100% sure that you have an A player. You're not 100% right. So you can have an A player and then maybe it doesn't end up being an A player. It happens sometimes. It happened to me, right? But if you have this mindset of always chasing the best, then it's going to be the best reward and the thing that will make your company successful at the end of the day. Because at the end of the day, as a CEO or the founder, you cannot handle everything when you're going to scale, and you need to rely on people that will be accountable. And the only way to do that is to hire a player. So spend time to hire the right person. That's the only and the best advice I could give to anyone listening to this podcast. If you scale, spend time, make sure you have the best.
Amazing. And how do you make sure that someone is accountable? Because, on their resume, they can say anything
Yeah,
about
so
themselves. Yeah.
so you have like all these kind of tricks. So the way we do it, for example, is you prepare it. So you make sure to see all the outcomes you need for the person. So what should they do within 6 months? That, and that. And when you do the call, so that's classic. But you say, okay, this is a 5 on 5, 4 on 5, 3 on 5, 2 on 5 on each of them, and then you weight each of the different outputs that you want to have, the soft skill, and then you have finally you have a grade, and then so anyone that's not above 4.5, you can consider them not an A player, so you remove them. So that's maybe a first thing. Whenever you do an interview, you forget about everything. So that's a good way of thinking. So that's the first thing. The second, you should always do reference check. Always. The most important thing is reference check. And not only one, a lot. And making sure that the one you have, you find the right question, because obviously they are always going to say that they're great. Making sure that you have correct question where they see they're great, but be super extra careful with a background check. And that's with that, make sure that at least 2, 3 people from your company do the same thing, do the same rates. And then if you do that properly and you don't do like voodoo, what we call the voodoo interview. Okay, seems great. I've got a good feeling. That doesn't work. Forget about voodoo hiring. Do that things. Make it proper. And then, of course, you never had 100% chances of being successful, but it's better than the voodoo hiring for sure.
Yeah. That's amazing advice, right there. And I'm wondering, like, do you remember the hardest challenges that you had when the creators started to flood in? But I'm talking about team challenges. So, like, what happened that completely clogged the pipes, and you had to, organize in a red alert mode to try to, resolve that?
So you're talking about creators, right?
Yeah.
So handle all the creators and the flow of creators. So we have two things, two key moments. Number one key moment is when we actually launch our creator app, mobile app. So once we launched it, everything was easier. We didn't have to do email. Everything was done directly from the app. They could log in, they could sign up, they could receive push notification, they could send their videos, they could be paid, etc., etc. So it really was a complete game changer for us. Number one, and we could scale from hundreds of creators to tens of thousands of creators super easily. I mean, not super easily, but it couldn't be possible without this app. So any services with creators that do not have an app, be careful. It means that they don't really know how to scale. So number one. And then number two was AI again. Now, I'd say 70% of all our requests are handled by AI, proper AI. Um, so we plug our AI into a knowledge base where we put all the previous question or everything. And that basically it's actually now almost 70% of all the requests. So before we had to do that manually, and now they're handled by AI pretty well. So that was the two key moments for us. Number one, app. Number two, AI creator service, creator care, I'd say.
That's impressive. And I'm also curious to know, your point of view on what do you think that most startups they get wrong, like when they build two-sided networks like Ramdam?
I don't know. We did a lot of things wrong. I think, to be honest with you, I think the business of marketplaces is not, doesn't really have a bright future, to be honest.
Why do you think so?
Because now, at the end of AI, at the era of AI, sorry, I think people don't want to bother uh, communicating with some provider to get some things done, etc. I think we are the era where now you need to push on a button and get what you need. That it means that you can still have marketplaces where on one side, for example, you still have clients and creators, but on one side, clients they never discuss with creators. They are never in contact. I mean, clients can know about the creators if they want, but they at the end of the day, they don't even know which are the creators. And I think that's like a trend right now with the AI, where more and more people now they will tell a chatbot, tell someone what they need, and then the service will actually provide what they need without any intermediary. That's the way I see it. Obviously, it will take time, but so my guess would be if you're trying to build something with even for dating for I think the future of dating we used to work for dating. I think the future of dating is not marketplace with people looking for other people. I think it's going to have an AI layer that actually is going to know for you which person is going to be good for you, so
Yeah.
you don't have to swipe and do a endless. I think that's the way the business is going to evolve. I mean, all the services are going to evolve, and if you're running a marketplace, I think you should try to see how you can actually eliminate the friction that is inherent to any marketplace. So people don't have to worry about anything, don't have to communicate too much, because that's friction, and you need to eliminate the friction.
And did you see that video of, I think it's Eric Schmidt, that was talking about UIs disappearing in the near future?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think he's completely right. I think UI is going to be completely disappearing. I completely agree with them. I mean, as I say, I think the on our side, my product at the end of the day is going to be for the clients, one page, one field where you put your URL, one field where you put your credit card, and then eventually a chatbot asking you what's your budget. You click on a button and voila, you receive the video. You don't have to worry about anything else. I completely think that's the future of UI. I mean, as I told you, people they don't want to do anything now. They just want to push on a button and get what they need. And that's exactly what Eric Schmidt is telling, and I think he's completely right.
Do you think this is like singularity of business online, where eventually everything would be just inputs and buttons?
Yes and no, um, because I think singularity is a bit different actually. Singularity is when actually an AI is going to be actually as clever as a human, you know? And then you don't need to do anything. I mean, you don't have to work, everything. So maybe manual work. So I think it's much more of a shift of pure UI because now AI is gonna streamline and I don't think it's singularity. I think it's AI facilitating every step of the process. And at the end of the day, you don't need to click on different button to know what you need. Only a chatbot asking what you need will do everything. So I'd say that singularity might be a bit strong at the word. I think it's just a natural evolution of the UI at the era of AI.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're coming to a close almost, but I do still have a few really cool questions for you. So, um, do you remember what was like the most painful growth bottleneck that you had? And like, how did you kill that growth bottleneck?
Yeah, so I told you, I'm gonna repeat, sorry about that, but I told you that the main bottleneck we had was before we launched the app for mobile for creators, we had to handle everything through emails, automations. So that was a huge bottleneck because handling that was email was like impossible. And then as soon as we put the app, then it everything became much easier for us. And the second bottleneck I would say would be again, we had this huge problem before, as I told you, where we let the creator free as a self-service to select the creator they wanted. So basically, they push a brief and then they had to select the creator. And then that was a bad idea because clients, they don't know which creator they're going to select. Am I going to go to the number of followers, to the previous collaboration? What's more important, the number of followers and then they're lost and then they don't know how to do it. And then what happened actually, some clients, they spent like 5K in our platform and they ended up never spending those credits because they were lost at these creator selection phases and they were like, okay, I don't know what to do. And so as soon as we understood that the right way to do was you skip this step, you don't let the clients select their own creators. It was a bold move for us because at that time the client was like, okay, I want to select my creator. We say, no, you won't. We will select for you. We will align on what you're looking for, but we will much better than you that are doing it. And as soon as we understood that, this bottleneck, I mean, we are completely over with clients not able to spend credits, and then everything changed.
Hmm. So many lessons today. So many lessons. It's
I
incredible.
don't know. I don't know if we still have some people listening to us. I hope so.
Oh, I'm
uh,
sure. I'm sure there are. And yeah, I guess to wrap things up, I have a really deep question. Like, if you could whisper to yourself something, and day one, right, of building your business, like, what would you say to yourself?
so day one, like
Yeah.
early days. It's going to be difficult, but so enjoy the ride.
Oh God, I love it. Yeah, yeah. I think a lot of people don't necessarily enjoy the ride. They maybe see it as torture.
Yeah, yeah,
No, that's really actually good. And how can investors or clients reach out?
yeah. So you can go to my LinkedIn. So I don't know if you're going to put mark some link
I
up to
will.
this Spotify, but I'm pretty active on LinkedIn actually. I spend and I like to share my vision and some more personal stuff. So you can follow me and reach out to me on LinkedIn. I try to reply to everyone reaching out to me. Also, what you can do is going to our website, https, ramd.am. I don't know if you're going to put the link.
I will.
And from there, you can just book a demo, and then we'll be happy to do a demo for free or for tool. Or you can reach out to me by email, Xavier. I'll send it to you. You have my email at rand.em. I'd be happy to do a personal demo to discuss about your growth strategy and see how we could help.
Absolutely. Please, everyone watching, if you need UGC creatives, on a whim, definitely check out Ramdam. What an amazing technology Xavier is building right now. So thank you so much for joining us today. I'm so happy to see you succeed, Xavier.
Thank you so much, Mark.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for your invitation. Have a good one.
Absolutely.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. All right. To everyone watching, thank you so much. And if you found this episode filled with gold, feel free to hit that like button, subscribe, and of course, the bell button too. I would really appreciate that. All right. See you in the next episode. Cheers.